position on the state board. Ricky Lennox is our president-elect. So after Linda, he will be coming on board. That means at this point, he's going to be learning how to be president for the next, is it 2 years, Kim? Next 2 years or 1 year?
Yes, president-elect for 2 years.
And then the VP of Finance is Meade. Go back one, please.
Okay, sorry. I had to get rid of something that was on my screen.
So Jan just said that soon she'll be out of position, and Meade LeBlanc is going to take over Jan's position. We're really excited to have her because she's very knowledgeable and just like Jan, but it's nice to have a new knowledgeable person on board. And then the VP of Communications is now going to be Stephanie Long. Stephanie is in my chapter, so she has a special place in my heart, and we're excited to welcome her aboard. And then Megan Peeples is going to be our VP Chapter Liaison. So welcome to all four of you. And I don't know if anyone is going to speak or not. Perhaps we can figure that out at this point.
Let's hope so. They've been invited to speak. And I know that I got confirmation from Stephanie and Megan, but I have not yet from Ricky or Meade. So I'm not sure they got my message.
Okay, what I can do is check and see if they're there.
And while you're doing that, I want you all to know that at the end of this meeting, that is when these officers will be installed. It just automatically happens like magic. So the old, out with the old, in with the new at the end of the meeting. Ricky will be the new president-elect, and he will serve for 6 years. 2 years as president-elect, 2 years as president, and 2 years as past president. The other members will serve 2-year terms, and at the end of that term, they will have the option to let the nominating committee know if they wish to serve another 2 years or not. It's up to them. Did you find anybody?
Yes, I asked Megan and Stephanie to unmute themselves. I do not see Meade. And let me see if Ricky's here. I don't see Ricky either.
Okay.
Were you able to unmute yourselves, Megan and Stephanie?
Yes.
Great.
Stephanie, you want to say a few words?
Sure. Hi, everyone. I'm Stephanie Long. I'm very excited to be VP of Communications. I'm a student at Texas State University studying communication design. So this is right where I want to be. I'm also a website designer and work in software development here in Austin. So I'm just excited to bring my skills to the chapter and see how I can help kind of strategize some of our communications and the technologies that we use and help us, accomplish the goals that we want as a society and as chapters.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Megan?
Yes. Hi, guys.
Hi.
Good to see you all or hear you all. My name is Megan Peeples. I am a horticulturist, and I have been working with Native Plant Society for about 5 years now. Was the previous chapter president of the East Dallas chapter. I'm now working on my master's degree studying ecological restoration and ecology, doing grassland work. I definitely specialize in native plants, so I'm so excited to be among friends and work with you all. As the chapter liaison, I hope to visit the chapters and meet most of you guys face to face and be a resource for you all. I'm very excited to work with you guys.
Well, thank you. We're excited that you accepted the nomination.
Exactly, yes.
All right. Looks like we're going to have a great board. So speaking of our board, no, it's employees next. Craig Coulter has been our membership coordinator now for almost 2 years. Meg, you have been the NLCP coordinator for 7 years. Is that correct?
Over 7 years.
Excellent. And Sarah Torres has been our accountant for a year. And they are all exceptional people and wonderful employees. And we're very happy that they're on board and working for us. Oh, look. And we're going to have a new executive director named Meg. Meg, tell us about yourself.
Okay. All right. I just want to say something for about a minute. It won't take me long. I just want to say that the Native Plant Society of Texas, we have anticipated this moment for some time. Thanks to the efforts of numerous volunteers over many years, and more recently, the enormous efforts of the current executive board, we now have the position of Native Plant Society of Texas Executive Director. This is an historic moment for the organization. We've reached a tipping point, a level of maturity that allows us to move towards having a much greater impact on society as we continue to implement our strategic plan. We all know how critical native plants are to maintaining a resilient ecosystem. Our goal continues to be bringing the rest of the world up to speed. It is my honor to be NPSOT's executive director. My duties began on November 1st when I start to transition from NLCP coordinator to my new position, a transition that may take a few months while I train my successor. I'm excited to continue working with the driving force of NPSOT. And naturally, that's you, the volunteers. And I consider myself very fortunate to be working with two fantastic staff members, Sarah Torres, NPSOT accountant, and Craig Coulter, membership coordinator. Over the next month, the executive board and I will assess next steps for the ED. And of course, I will be reporting back to the state board at future quarterly meetings. As always, I welcome your comments. Thank you for your confidence in me, and I look forward to serving the Native Plant Society of Texas. Thank you.
Thank you, Meg. We have all the confidence in the world in you.
Thank you.
I'm excited. And
even after tonight? No, I'm just kidding.
Well, no, we forgot to practice how this started. This is our first YouTube thing. Tomorrow morning will be better.
Okay.
We have a strategic plan. And it's very ambitious. And this is why we need an executive director to help us complete this. The plan is from 2019 to 2024. So we are, 2 years in, and we've done a lot on the plan. We're growing, we're moving forward, but we need for all the chapters and all the members to go to our website, to look under about, to look under accountability, and look at our strategic plan and read it and see what you can do to help us achieve these goals. If you have any brilliant ideas on any of these, we need to know them. So we have our goal 1 is all about education and outreach. And our goal number 2 is about administration, chapters, and membership. So it's ambitious, but we can do it. By the end of 2024, I want to make sure we've checked off all these, ticked all these off. So moving on, our state governance model. A lot of our new members are probably watching this evening. I hope they are. And you need to know how your society is governed. So we have an executive board composed of 9 members and a chapter representatives, which is 1 per chapter. So it's a large board that meets every quarter and goes over business. The job of the executive board is to guide, push, plan, and present to the state board and hopefully move things forward. We also have non-voting members on the board, as you can see from the chart. We have standing committees, which we'll go over this evening. We have contractors. NLCP used to be contractor, but now that's an employee position. We do have ad hoc committees that come and go, and we have employees. This has been your executive board for the last couple years, outgoing, and I want to thank all these people for their most excellent service. Is Michael Eason from SVP Chapter Liaison. We will continue to see Michael work, I'm sure, on committees and on the advisory board and as our state botanist. Jan Hands is not going away either. She's going to help us on our finance committee. Bill is helping, staying on the communication committee. And I think Cecil might be ready to relax. So everyone has, this board has met every month, once a month for 2 years. So we've gotten to know each other. It's been great. Linda will continue on as president. I will be past president. Pam, VP administration. Kimber's continuing on as education, and Clarence as VP advocacy and affiliation. So this is what your board will look like for the next 2 years. We went from squares to circles, and you can see we added in me and Stephanie and Megan and Ricky. And we look forward to our first executive board meeting, well, this coming Wednesday, October 13th. I asked the state board members, the chapter members, to send me pictures, and I did get a few. So here you have on the left, Paula Stone from the Fredericksburg chapter, Gordon Scruggs from the North Central chapter, and sorry, not Ann, Brumhall, Karen, no, oh, I'm so embarrassed. Diane Brumhall from the Highland Lakes chapter. Anyway, we also meet on Zoom, and we meet every quarter. I hope that sometime, if you have not ever served on the chapter level and in leadership, if you ever serve as a president, know that the state does its best to get you all the documents a week before the meeting. Know that any member can attend these meetings, but only state board members can vote. We have 37 chapters around the state. This is just a screenshot of a new innovation we did last year, or Bill Hopkins did last year, with putting all of the digital media activity that we know of that our chapters do. So you can go to our website, and the little chain is a website link. And then of course there's Facebook, YouTube, Twitter, Instagram, Flickr, and Houston even has Smug Mugs. So we have chapters that are active all over the place. These are your current presidents. They are members of the state board. So every president is a state leader. Just so you know, you're a state leader. Over the last 4 years, I have noticed that these are the attributes of chapters that do well. Their representatives attend the state board meetings regularly. They have chapter boards with regular meetings, bylaws and standing rules. They have a membership committee, regular chapter meetings. I know that's been difficult during the pandemic, but a lot of chapters pivoted and went, to Zoom. They have very good communications. They have websites that work, that stay updated, emails and newsletter. They're active in other areas of social media. The North Central chapter has 9 demonstration gardens, and that keeps our members involved and busy and out in the community. Lots and lots of other chapters have demonstration gardens. I really recommend that. They have plant sales and field trips. And I want to say, if you want to learn what plants are going to do good in your yard, walk in your ecosystem. Go to your field trips that your chapters provide, to the nature areas, and see what is thriving naturally in your ecoregion. Lots of different chapters have different programs and projects. There's PGARP in the Hill Country. Houston has some Wellscape workshops. So some of these things may eventually become state programs. You try them out on your chapter level, and let's see what we can do. Also, the members are attending the symposium. Like right now, we have 53 members. They're probably from the chapters that are doing well. And their members very often serve on state committees, which is very important. And here are state level committees. I won't read this to you. This is available to you in every magazine that comes out, quarterly magazine has this list in it. But we will go over and highlight some of these tonight. The awards committee, my favorite, is puts on the awards ceremony. We also take public nominations for March, April, May, 3 months, so a quarter. We only have one award that requires membership in our society, and that is the Shirley Lusk Memorial Award. So the committee, we stringently review. We have long meetings about these nominations, and we also, members can submit their own nominations. So we take this responsibility very seriously. Our recommendations go to the state board at the 3rd quarter meeting, and then the state board approves or disapproves of our recommendations. The president-elect is the chair of the awards committee. This year it's Linda Knowles. Next year it will be Ricky Lennox. And the composition of the members, this is this year's, next year will probably change. We have an audit committee. So we do have eyes on our bookkeeping. We have eyes on our banking. Betsy Ferris has been leading this committee for a while. Jan Hands will join this committee. Walt and Martha, thank you for serving. This committee is very important, and we want to assure our members and the public that we're good fiduciaries. Our Bring Back the Monarch Committee is a small grant garden program. We're going to hear a lot more about this tomorrow, so come tomorrow morning when we have the programs talk from 10 to 11, and Carol Clark will be telling us more about the Bring Back to Texas program. But you can see that this is a very active, large committee that Carol does a great job chairing. We're going to hear more about our grants and scholarships later on in the evening. But this year, as always, the VP Education Services Chair, that's Kimber Koshik. And the members this year were Del Hood, Lynn Weber, and Michael Eason. Communications Committee is a really important committee. Bill Hopkins has chaired this committee for on and off. Well, he's been the website coordinator for a long time, but as long as I've been in state leadership, he has been on this committee. So we're going to new territory here. Anyway, a lot goes on here. The membership magazine, state website, chapters platform, social media, Zoom was added last year. If you have any skills in any of these areas, please do contact Stephanie Long and see if you can help serve on this state committee. The Susan Austin from Cross Temperance Chapters has been our editor now for 3 years, and she's done an excellent job. These are the covers of our 2021 magazines. They're all really good. Thank you, Susan. In the NLCP program, I don't know if Bill wants to say a few words about NLCP here or not. This year, Patrick Garrett has joined the committee, and I believe Suzanne and Dee Dee have moved off and are pursuing other interests. Dee Dee's moved on to the Invasive Plant Committee. And the I-35 way stations. This is a committee that has done a tremendous amount of work on the I-35 gardens. We have 2 in Salado, just south of Salado, and 2 just south of Hillsboro. These are our demonstration gardens that we show the world what native plants can be and how they can benefit nature, especially the monarch butterflies, since these are monarch way stations. These were started 5 years ago with a partnership between Texas Department of Transportation and the U.S. Fish and Wildlife Service. We are on the Monarch Highway, as you can see from this graphic, and one of our way stations is in Hillsboro. It's kind of really far away, so we've had a little bit of trouble getting volunteers to help with maintenance on that garden. So we came up with the idea to have volunteer pledge t-shirts this year. And these shirts, they really went over well. My goodness, we had I think almost 40 people, no, 35 or 40 people decide to pledge 25 hours and in 1 year. So, and I'm so excited about that. And the shirts look great. So Linda Griffin from Tonkawa Chapter is the designer there of the t-shirts. And I just wanted to show you, we also finally got a coloring book done, and it features, we gave these away at the opening of the signs last October 2nd. That was our big kickoff for the symposium. And Susan Smith has donated 3 illustrations for the coloring book. She's in the Post Oak chapter. And Mary Horn from the Clear Lake chapter donated 5 illustrations for the coloring book. So thank y'all very much. And we had a great time. Look at all the great t-shirts. I don't know what to say besides it's really exciting. If you're on 35, stop and look at these. And if you see a weed and you know it's a weed, go ahead and pull it. Anyway, we had a wonderful opening. And thank everyone that came. See, it's Monarch Way Station. There's milkweed. Tonight's your symposium committee changes every year. This year it was composed of Linda Knowles. I'll start about 7 o'clock. So Linda Knowles, Kim Conroe, myself, Paula Stone from Fredericksburg, Clarence Reed, VP Affiliations from Austin, Bill Hopkins from Cross Timbers, and Meg Ingles from Austin. We had a lot of innovations this year. We did an onboarding, which is something we've been wanting to do for a long time. I think it's very helpful. We did chapter presidents and treasurers. In a few weeks, I'll be helping to onboard our new executive board members, as will the other executive board. We've got a new software system. I know that y'all are all doing your login and passwords and going into your accounts, and now you're free to change your address, your email, your phone number, all by yourself. You don't have to bug us about that. And you can just do it. You can also have a recurring membership. So you can just check recurring and it'll just happen every year. It's called Neon. It's less expensive and more powerful than our past conglomeration of membership and software that we had. It also has the ability to do analytics. And so I want to let you know that when we do these large emails, either out to the membership or to chapter presidents or whatever group we decide to do, it will tell us who has opened those emails. And it will tell us if there's a link in it, if you've clicked on it. So just be aware, like Santa, we know if you've been naughty or nice on those opening the emails. The Speakers Bureau, it's almost ready to launch. It's going to be amazing, helpful. We'll provide speakers around the state. The Invasive Plant Committee, if you've gotten your newsletter on email and have read it, you know that we have a position statement now that was approved at our last state board meeting. This is going to be a very important committee, as well as the Speakers Bureau. Well, they're all important, but the Invasive Plant Committee is asking for your help in the chapters and would like for the chapters to let us know what are your worst invasive plants in your ecoregion, and what are the ecoregion plants that you have that would be better in place of them. So you'll be hearing more from us. We're going to work to have good Zoom and hybrid meetings. We have a new Nature in Schools initiative. We're trying to get in, see what's going on in those old dilapidated cemeteries, those forgotten cemeteries. We want to honor our cultural and natural heritage that can be found there. And those are wonderful places to be, to honor both of those things. We've learned how to do investments with our endowments that we got from Harry and Marilyn Kirk. We're so excited about that. And that has spurred us on into thinking about investing other funds that aren't readily needed right now as in cash. We're getting an executive director, doing manuals, working on policy, and we'll continue to do all these things. But the neatest thing we did this year was the membership pins. And I want to thank Pam Linehard. Don't be mad at me, Pam. I want to thank you so much for doing this. You did it all. You did all the work. You did all the back work. You ordered them. You packed them up. You sent them to the chapters. They're beautiful. They're going to make a lasting legacy. You've just made a wonderful mark for us today and for the future. And I really appreciate it. And thank you. And I can't wait to wear my pins, get my pins and wear them. And now we have our section of our meeting, which is sad. So Bill, are you ready to stop sharing? And I think Bill is going to play the tribute that Paula Stone created for Mr. Lindemann. Oh, I think I'm getting hot under the collar here. All right, so we're going to start over. Grants and scholarships, we're going to have a little slideshow, and then we're going to hear from two of our grants and scholarships are going to speak. So here we go. And Kimber, if you want to talk during this, you're welcome to.
Kimber, I've asked you to unmute yourself.
Yeah, I'm so you're seeing the winners from this year. We had over $50,000 in awards to 8 undergraduate students, and we're seeing the undergraduate students first. And we also had 14 graduate research grants that we awarded. And that's who you're seeing right now. You'll see the sponsor up at the top. Fredericksburg chapter sponsored 2 scholarships and 1 research grant, and the Hill Country chapter sponsored a scholarship with their members. And we had, you see all the different sponsorships. So everybody was very generous. I'm thrilled that we were able to support so many students, and we look forward to hearing about their research next year. Okay, so the 2 people who are going to speak are Brand Richter. On the left, he won the inaugural Dr. Alfred Richardson Scholarship, and Kelly Carroll will talk next. She won one of our Ann Miller Gonzalez research grants. I'll tell you a little about them each before they speak. So Brand is an undergraduate student at University of North Texas in Denton. He's majoring in a new major, geography, concentrating in environmental studies. He's been working with native plants since right after he graduated from high school. And he took the NLCP courses with the Trinity Forks chapter. He's done an amazing amount already on campus, and he's going to tell us about a brand new project with Post Oaks. And then Kelly Carroll is currently pursuing a master's in biology at Tarleton State University, researching the microbiomes of native and invasive grasses and their potential uses in preserving native Texas prairies. Kelly received her Bachelor of Science from Trinity University in San Antonio, where she researched KR blue stem control methods in the microbiomes of alpine grasses in Colorado. When she isn't in the lab, Kelly works with the Botanical Research Institute of Texas, remotely digitizing specimens in their massive herbarium to make them available to researchers worldwide. Okay, so let's, all right. Brand, Brand, are you ready to talk?
Yeah, I'm good to go.
Okay.
Would you like me to have my video for this as well? I'll be sharing my screen. But I need that disabled as well, please.
What do you need? You need to allow it to, oh, okay. Is it allowing you to share the screen, Brand? I don't know how it's set up.
The host has disabled. So if you could unlock that for me, please.
Okay. Let me find out where that is. I don't know. Somebody set this up and I didn't, so just a minute. Bill, I'm not sure how you do that, so gosh.
Meg, you have to make him a co-host.
Okay. Can I please make you the host again, or is that a problem? Bill? I'm going to make you the co-host, and I'm going to turn Brand into a co-host. There you go. Okay, Brand, you go.
Super. Is that showing for y'all?
Yes, thank you.
Ooh. Ooh, let's go to the beginning, shall we? Cool. Okay, so hi. Again, my name is Brand Richter. I am the first recipient of the Dr. Alfred Richardson Scholarship, which has been a really good benefit for me because it means that I can focus a little bit more on my studies and a little less on trying to balance both work and school. So I wanted to thank Harry and Marilyn Kirk for their very generous endowment for that. And of course, Dr. Richardson, who I had the pleasure of meeting just a couple weeks ago. So I'm going to give you a little bit about me, a little bit about what I am doing here on the UNT campus and in and around Denton. And so you'll get a little sneak peek of what's going to be my geography capstone research project launching this coming semester. So really excited to kind of give you all the introduction to that. So again, my name is Brand. I'm at the University of North Texas studying geography, and I understand a lot of people don't quite get what I'm talking about. A lot of folks think cartography when I say this word. And so really what geography is a study of human and environment interactions over a given space and how those interactions change over time and how they change each other. And so you'll kind of see how my project ties into that. But some of the things that I do here at the University of North Texas, I work in two different research labs. One is the Panett Ecosystems Lab, where I study urban forest systems, and then the Lichtenberg Plant-Animal Interactions Lab. Our current research in that laboratory is focused on rotational grazing mechanisms and its effect on pollinator foraging resources. So it's been a real blast to kind of dive into more of the bug world versus my background is a little bit more plant focused. So it's been a great experience for that.
Hey, Brand, if you want to turn on your video, you may. Sorry to interrupt.
How's this?
Perfect, thanks.
Super, for sure. You get both of me. I also serve on a number of positions here on campus in our Tree Campus Committee. We just launched our Bird Campus Committee, which is really exciting. We'll be able to fund some bird conservation programs through that. And then I also serve on a couple of city committees, which has been a real benefit to allow me to work with some of these issues that I'm really passionate about. So to kind of give you some background on the issues I'm hoping to address through my capstone research project, we're going to kind of overview some of the challenges of the forest here in Denton. And so as a city, we have about 3.5 million trees that occupy our full urban forest canopy. Only about 10% of those roughly are post oak trees. And so that kind of puts us at a unique position given the natural history of this space. Post oak juniper and post oak elm forests were kind of the dominant landscape for a very long time. That 10% makeup now is quite a shift. And so they face quite a number of unique threats, especially for soil disturbance activities. You can kind of see on this image to the left, a land clearing operation for a new development that's going in. This was a strand of post oaks I used to visit quite often that no longer exist. And then to the right, we have a post oak that was removed from a street improvements project. So this is going to give you an overview. About half, or rather the majority of our forest is on undeveloped land, like you see here on the left, that faces some preservation concerns. And then on the right, our existing canopy in the spaces where we already have experienced development can still have some challenges that they have to face, including soil compaction, increased exposure to drought, and then just happenstance where somebody messes up and a bulldozer hit this tree and they had to remove it. So particularly for the University of North Texas's campus, we have about 368 post oaks, which is roughly 7% of our total trees. We have about 4,000 acres here in the city of Denton. And so it's quite a small number that just exists on a pretty central portion of our campus. There's a really cool tool here just out from American Forest if you wanted to check this out. This kind of shows you your tree equity score based on your census block. University of North Texas, for example, has some of the lowest ranking census blocks for its health equity scores in the census blocks that straddle campus. And so it's a particular concern to enhance our urban canopy to improve some of those health outcomes for students who live in these spaces. And so what my project actually is going to be, going to come in two different phases. And so we're launching the first one this coming spring. It's going to involve inventorying the full 368 or so post oaks that we have on campus. And then second phase will be our propagation phase, where we will be growing and restoring some of the spaces where we've had significant post oak decline. So just want to shout out again to my two really amazing advisors who have been helping me conceptualize this project, Dr. Matt Fry in the geography department, and then Dr. Jamie Baxter-Sly, who is the environmental science and ecology laboratory instructor at UNT and has graciously funded this research project. So part A, this again will be launching in the spring. We currently have a very glaring gap in our inventory. We do an exceptional job about knowing exactly where our trees are on campus. We do a less than exceptional job knowing what those trees are. Part of that was just the contractors that were recruited to do the inventory. And then we have exceptionally little information on the health conditions of those trees, what their size are for their DBH and their height. And so we hope to have a much more complete picture of this after our inventory phase is complete, just focusing on our post oaks so that we can get a more holistic picture with those additional metrics and characteristics that allow us to better manage and grow our campus canopy. Part two is what I'm super excited about. I used to work at a native plant nursery growing plants for a lot of Native Plant Society sales, in fact, and for master gardeners. And so very, very excited to kind of come back to those roots, growing in the greenhouse again. We're going to be trialing 3 different grow methods. One will be in the field with direct sow planting, where we'll collect acorns the fall that they drop, and then sowing them directly in delineated spaces that we can protect with galvanized steel, anti-squirrel, any measure we can, and monitor those spaces for about 2 years for what was directly sown in the ground. And then 2 quasi-controlled spaces. One will be outdoors where we can manage their water, but in all other means, they'll have to acclimate themselves to natural conditions on their own. And then the third phase will be in a controlled greenhouse where we'll have control over the potting media, the temperature, their water intake, and be able to look at growth in that regard from a very hyper-controlled environment. And then we'll be determining health outcomes and mortality rates 2 years on. And so this, in full scope, will take the remaining 4 semesters of my time that I have here at UNT, but kind of my deliverables that I'd like to be able to hand to campus is more post oaks, given that right now we do not have any means of replacing the ones that we lose. And we know even over the last year with the freeze we experienced in February, that at least a dozen of our pretty significantly sized oaks did not make it through. And so that's something we'd like to address by actually allowing the regeneration of that forest, but then also having a scalable method that we can either keep just as a university or that I can hand over to our urban forester here in Denton, that here are proven methods or best practices that we can implement if we decide to fund that can help regenerate our urban forest for these trees that currently don't have a means of, or rather we don't allow to regenerate naturally and currently have precipitously declining populations around the city. So what I, again, hope to be able to evaluate at the end of this study is the mortality given our inventory from previous metrics when we knew a tree was alive given 5 to 10 years ago when the inventory was completed to our new inventory, and be able to measure what the average mortality rate for our trees are so we can understand what our replacement needs to be to grow that canopy. And then again, having field and outdoor grow methods that we should demonstrate as best practice for regenerating oaks in a controlled environment, and then increasing the available amount of area that we do actually have as designated for growing native plants. And so an oak is of course a canopy tree. We expect to be able to grow a number of really amazing habitat enhancing plants underneath those trees to improve our general biodiversity on campus. And then what's really amazing and what I'm really excited about is the educational aspect of this because I am co-opting the Biology Environmental Science Lab, which has about 400 students that are non-STEM majors for the most part that roll through every semester. So nearly 1,000 a year that I am forcing to join me in my effort here. They're gonna learn a lot of skills in forestry and forest management through our inventory and grow methods. I hope to train them in some horticulture practices within the greenhouse and greenhouse management. And then we really hope to partner with more community based groups to do our actual tree planting, because that's a very enjoyable activity that people don't typically say no to. So happy to take any questions if y'all have. Feel free to reach out to me at my student email there below. And again, I wanted to thank NIPSOT for their scholarship, the Kirks for their endowment to make it happen, and of course, Dr. Richardson for inspiring that really generous gift. So thank you guys so much.
Brad, thank you. That was a very interesting presentation. We do need to worry about places that we don't allow to naturally reforest. Thank you. Kimber, are you ready to introduce Kelly? Well,
I'm here.
Okay, sorry, I had to wait for them to unmute me. I already talked about, thank you so much, Brand. That was very interesting. I'm so glad you've got those 1,000 students who are going to help you. I can't wait to hear the results of your project. So again, Kelly is one of our Ann Miller Gonzalez research grant winners, and she's going to tell us about her KR Bluestem project. Kelly, are you ready?
Yes, I am. Could I also get permission to share my screen, or would you rather pull up my PowerPoint? Or would Kim rather pull up my PowerPoint?
Yeah, I think Kim would do it, but if you, Brand did his, so if you could, if y'all can let her share.
Yeah, I think Kelly should be able to do it.
Yeah, Kelly, you can do it. You have the ability to share the video.
There we go. I see. Okay, here we go.
Yeah, share your video too. That'd be great.
Hold on. There we go. Okay. Oop, that went too early. Okay, there we go. Okay. Good evening, everyone. Tonight, I'm just going to be giving y'all a quick overview of my research into the microbiomes of little bluestem and King Ranch bluestem, which are, of course, a native and an invasive grass in Texas prairies, and how I'm planning on using the microbiomes of the little bluestem grass in order to basically try and reduce the spread of King Ranch bluestem in Texas on Texas prairies. So some of you may know this, some of you may not, so I'll just go through a really quick overview of what King Ranch bluestem is. Its scientific name is Bothriocloa ischamum ver songarica. It actually was introduced in the early 1900s accidentally from Eurasia, but when the Dust Bowl hit, it was discovered that it was very good as a cover crop and forage that would grow in dry conditions for cattle who were starting to run out of grass and starting to graze down to bare dirt. So the Soil Conservation Service sold it very aggressively at the time as something that would keep Texas ranches producing. However, as time went on, the drought faded and people started realizing the KR was spreading everywhere. Others began to study it and found that the actual forage quality really isn't that good. The stems are very tough and they come up very fast once the plant begins to flower. So it really becomes unpalatable for cattle very quickly. But the thing about King Ranch bluestem is that it will survive almost anything you throw at it. People have tried plowing it under, they've tried prescribed fire in various seasons, they've tried glyphosate and disking, and KR manages to recolonize pretty much all the time. So all efforts so far have pretty much failed, but we think we may have come up with a new method. And our method is basically creating a biocontrol, which is using a living organism in order to knock down another species. And we're thinking that we can use little bluestem's microbiome like a probiotic to help cure the soil and reduce the growth of KR bluestem, which is, of course, an invasive. So, you may be asking, well, what are microbiomes? I'm more of just a plant person. I don't know all this microbiology stuff. Well, everyone has a microbiome in their gut and on their skin. It's just a group of microorganisms that live in or on a specific larger organism. So grass has microbiomes and they have multiple functions. One of them is the protection of that grass from herbivory by, say, a grasshopper. It can actually hurt the grasshopper or make the grass be unpalatable. It can also help in nutrient gathering for, say, legumes, where nitrogen-fixing bacteria are able to harvest nitrogen from the soil that the legume would not be able to get otherwise and help that legume to grow. But the most important for my project function of microbiomes is their help in competition between species. Because in some cases you will see a certain plant where nothing grows around it. And part of that may be that the microbiome is actually either aggressively attacking other plants that try to grow near the host plant, or that the microbiome is creating some kind of toxic compound in the soil that other plants can't grow with. So of course, these plant microbiomes are constantly interacting, and our lab had the bright idea, well, maybe we can weaponize that. Maybe we can use that to knock down the growth of this horrible invasive on our Texas prairies. But how do you weaponize a microbiome? And the answer to that would be foliar application. So you put it on the leaves through applications behind, say, a riding lawnmower, like you would apply a pesticide. Now, currently, they're only used against plant pathogens like fungi that grow on plants. Using microbes as a weapon against an actual invasive plant, a large organism, is not explored so far. So we're really pushing the envelope as far as current science is aware. And for microbes being used against another organism, the most successful method is to use microbes that are closely related to the one that you're trying to affect. So say if I'm trying to introduce a microbe into King Ranch bluestem, I wouldn't take something from a pine tree. That's very different evolutionarily, very different biology between those two plants. Instead, I would take a microbe from a very closely related plant, such as little blue stem. But, where do you get those microbes? Well, I've been traveling all around Texas, and before that, my advisor traveled across Texas in order to find a little blue stem in pretty much every biome in Texas that it grows in, from the piney woods to the Big Bend to the rolling plains of the Panhandle, all the way down to the coastal plains. And our first step is just to get a record of every single microbe present in those grasses through DNA extraction, which is probably a bit more complicated than anyone here is very much interested in, but it basically involves getting the DNA out of the grass leaf and saying, okay, who does this belong to? Can we identify who this scrap of DNA belongs to? And creating a list saying, okay, these 25 microbes are present in the rolling plains and only in the rolling plains, so there must be something special about them. But of course, the part that everyone here is most likely interested in is actually getting certain microbes, specific ones, that we isolate out of the plant roots. And then we culture them up and we use them to inoculate them, to introduce them to KR bluestem seeds, to see if we can reduce the germination of KR bluestem seeds. And as you can see here, we've grown a lot of microbes. We have over 610 currently in our library that we've been able to culture. And we have tested around 100, and we found a couple that might be potentially useful in field trials, but we haven't quite made it to that step. We're still working in lab environments rather than in the field, but that is somewhere that we are moving in the future. So of course, right now we're still working on testing our microbes, making sure that we are very certain that they will work and that they are relatively easy to culture for managers moving forward. But we're also working on completing that survey of the whole population of the microbiome in little bluestem and in KR bluestem. And hopefully by the end of it, we will have a product that is kind of the holy grail, this mix of microbes or this single microbe that we can hand to managers and say, spray this on your field of KR bluestem, and you will have less come up next year. And we really hope that we'll be able to reach that. And it is, of course, with the help of so many organizations that we've been able to come this far. First of all, Texas Parks and Wildlife has helped us by granting us a permit to collect on their lands. Tarleton has funded my project through multiple grants, and the Native Plant Society of Texas, of course, awarded us the Ann Miller Gonzalez Research Grant, specifically funded by the Big Bend and North Central chapters, which has been a massive help in ordering supplies, which are always in short supply. The Chalk Mountain Wildlife Management Association generously gifted us with a donation, as well as the Cougar Hollow Ranch, Winscott Ranch, G-Bar Sea Ranch, Best Ranch, and the Hudson family all allowed us to take samples from their land. And finally, this project could never have made it this far without the help of the undergraduate staff of the Brady Lab at AgriLife, including Carolee Leja, Daisy Judd, Megan Beatty, Sharon Cherian, and Emily Jenkins, and the initial work of Bianca Willis in the fall of 2020. Any questions? My email is on the further readings handout that should be on the Dropbox in case anyone is curious.
Kelly, thank you. I still need to send that to Meg so that she can put it in the Dropbox, but we will get that done. What an interesting and hopefully useful solution to our KR problem. I have some in my own yard I need help with.
Yes.
Thank you so much.
Mm-hmm.
I'm going to send a link to her reading list that people can grab from the chat as well.
Okay, she sent me a document that we can put in the Dropbox.
Yeah, that's right. If anybody wants to look at it right now, they could do that.
Oh, okay.
Thank you so much, Kelly, for telling us about your important research. And does anyone have any questions for Kelly right now? I
think we're just blown away by how good it is. I mean, and we're so hopeful that's going to help us get rid of that scourge.
Yeah, I know. I mean, it's very exciting. And so, Kelly, do you have any idea about how long it's going to take to finish up the library so you can the genetic library?
Of course. So there's two different two different sort of arms to this. Finishing up the actual survey of the whole microbiome should actually be done hopefully by the spring, and it's actually going to be the main body of my thesis, which I am aiming to complete by August, but may complete in December, seeing how things play out. But for the actual product to deliver to managers, we are hard at work on that, and I don't want to give a specific day because microbes are very finicky and it's very difficult to say, yes, we will have it by the spring, because you can never be sure that it will work. But we hope to have it by December of 2022.
That would be fantastic. So let's see. I'm just looking at the chats. Yeah, people are just blown away by your talk. Thank you so much.
I like what Rodney, okay.
Yeah.
What Rodney Thomas says, both the students are fantastic. Keep up the great research y'all are doing. Kimber, do you want to tell us anything about this year's grants and scholarships and how successful we were in funding students and the new initiatives that you have in that regard?
Yeah, well, that's what I was talking about while the slideshow was occurring. We did, like I said, fund over $50,000 in awards to 8 undergraduates and 14 graduate students. And some of them were sponsored by individual chapters, and some were partially funded by the chapters. We did dip into, with permission of the state board, we dipped into the reserve funds that we're trying to get chapters to sponsor students after the awards have already been paid, so that we can replenish the reserve funds and be able to continue funding several students in the future, instead of just having one student, one graduate student and one undergraduate student win an award each year. We would like to be able to fund all the students who are who satisfy the criteria, right? Who are interested in native plants, who are talented and committed to helping the native plants in Texas thrive and fulfill their ecosystem functions. Right. So what about an award to create a disease that is specific to crepe myrtles? That's right. One thing we could do is solicit projects that chapters are interested in finding, or in supporting, and then we could reach out to the colleges and see if anyone's interested in doing that, right, and taking care of that. There's lots of things. I would also like to encourage people to join the Grants and Scholarships Committee so that you can be involved in selecting winners for the next award cycle. And you can let us know whether your chapter might be interested in supporting individual students, because our support can make the difference between research being done and the research not being done. If the project can't be paid for, the student's not going to be able to do it, and they'll have to focus on something else, which is we don't want them to do. We want them to focus on our native plants and help them thrive. So I will be continuing to reach out to individual chapters to see if they would like to sponsor a student who was supported by the reserve fund. And I thank you so much for the chapters who've already supported students. The Hill Country chapter, the Fredericksburg chapter alone, $7,500 in scholarships and grants. Highland Lake chapter, the Austin chapter, Big Bend, and the North Central chapter. It's just a lot of people came together, individuals came together. We had the $10,000 anonymous donation. It's just made a big difference in a lot of students' lives, and I thank you so much.
Thank you, Kimber. I know you and your committee have done a great deal of work this year.
Oh, yes. Lynn Weber and Del Hood and Michael Eason, thank you so much. We need more people to join in and help us so that we can do even more. And I greatly appreciate everybody's support this this award cycle.
Okay, so we'll continue to support students through grants and scholarships. That's what part of what we do to help research in our state and to make the future better. So I think that Meg is going to take the screen now and show Paula Stone's tribute to Mr. Lindemann.
Yes, I'm going to try, and Bill's going to chop me off if it doesn't work. Okay. Wait a minute. Okay, we'll just see if this works.
Here are the highlights of Bill's retirement. In 1997, he restarted the Fredericksburg chapter of NIPSOT and served as president. In 2001, he was the state NIPSOT president for 2 years. In 2003, he was awarded the Nancy Benedict Memorial Award. In 2006, he was president of NIPSOT again, the first ever repeat president. That same year, he was also awarded the Benny J. Simpson Fellows Award. In 2000, he had persuaded the city of Fredericksburg to let him start the Nature Center. That same year, he founded the Fredericksburg Nature Center and served as that president for 20 years. From 2003 to 2018, he was on the board of directors of the Hill Country Land Trust. 4 of those years, he was president. After his retirement in 1994, Bill put in countless hours advocating for the wonders of the natural world. We were lucky to have him as long as we did. And now here's a little clip of Bill talking about one of his favorite projects.
Welcome to Lady Bird Johnson Municipal Park in Fredericksburg. It's my pleasure to show you around the nature trails that were established in the year 2000. If you look at the map behind me, you'll see a map that has different colors. Each one of those colors represents a microhabitat like a prairie or a riparian area or a forest or lakeside wetlands, that type of thing. We're fortunate to have 7 of these different microhabitats inside of a 15-acre envelope, which is incredible when you think about it. If you went out to look for all these habitats in that type of environment, you would not be able to find it. We were lucky enough to have it. We have approximately 265 wildflowers with species. We have about 180 plus birds that we've seen here in the park, and probably somewhere close to 100 species of butterflies. Very incredible diversity. And I'm hoping to show you some of those things along the way today.
Okay, stop sharing. All righty, guys. I need to stop sharing, I guess. Is it already done? Okay.
Here we go. Thank you, Meg. That was very nice that you did that for us. I appreciate it. Mr. Lindemann was a wonderful person. Karina and I went to see his park or the Nature Center about 3 years ago, and he took her hand and helped her across the creek and over the rocks and showed her all the interesting different parts and explained everything to her. And when we came up the creek and rested in the area just before the woods, a group of young people came along, and he talked to them for 5 minutes or more, and they were very interested in hearing what he had to say. So he had a way with people, definitely, and a way with explaining how wonderful the Nature Center there is in Fredericksburg. I'd encourage everyone to go see it. So, moving on, the next thing on our agenda is the communication contest. And Bill, I'll scroll through the slides if you'll talk through it. How about that?
Okay, we can try that. Can you hear me okay?
Hmm? Yes.
All right, well, we have 3 contests, a video contest for members. We had our judges, Robert Camper, Martha Pete, Kay Jenkins, and what they do is they have a score sheet. They score the videos against a number of different criteria, and then they get a numerical score, and the highest numerical score wins. So we had 5 videos that were entered in the contest this year. What is a Native Plant by Rachel Sawinski, Miracle Stump, Cowpen Daisy, and Pipevine, all by Paula Stone, and Going Wild with Natives in Texas by Pamela Parker Caird. So those were our 6 videos, or 5 videos, sorry. And you can go to our YouTube channel, and they are all 5 of these videos are in a playlist. Cumulatively, they add up to probably maybe less than 20 minutes, I believe. So you can just play the playlist and play all 5 videos and watch all 5 of them, and I urge you to do so. I've also posted some of them on Facebook already, and I'll post the rest of them on Facebook in the next day or so. So I hope you watch all of them and tune in tomorrow to find out the winner. And our next slide is going to be the chapter newsletter contest. The chapter newsletter contest is a little bit different because these are entered by chapters instead of individuals. The newsletter contest judges are Jim Domke, Ricky Lennox, and Heidi Gigler. So we had, once again, we had 5 entries in that. This contest is a little bit different because we don't allow people to enter for 3 years after they have won. So that limits on the number somewhat. And of course, there's a maximum number because they're entered by, there's only 1 newsletter per chapter. So we had, you can see these representatives of their newsletters here. This is only the first page of each one. Highland Lakes by Lee Winkler, Paula, Fredericksburg, Collin County chapter of John Morley, and next, and then we had, I think there's another slide after this, isn't there? John Worley, and then there should be another slide after that. Yes, and with the Cross Timbers Native Plants chapter, which is edited by Libby Afflerbach with design by Susan Austin, and the Bernie chapter edited by Teresa Butler. So I urge you to go look at all of those. You can find links to them on those individual chapters and see not only these first pages, but you can read all of their newsletters if you wish to. And that's a good way of finding out about it. Once again, tune in tomorrow to find out who won. So, and then our photo contest. Yes, and our photo contest is organized by ecoregion. So we have 12 ecoregions, and we have entries in each one of those ecoregions, and we establish a winner in each one of those ecoregions. Our judges are Cindy Kearney, Michael Eason, and Edgar Miller. And they, just like in the other 2 contests, they have a score sheet with numerical scores for a variety of criteria. And by the way, you can look on our website and see these score sheets, not the score sheets that were for the judging, but you can see a sample score sheet that shows how the judging is done and what the criteria are. So there is 3 entries in an ecoregion in order to have a winner in that ecoregion. This year we have 2 ecoregions that don't have winners. There's one ecoregion that's the Texas-New Mexico mountains that we rarely have 3 submissions in that ecoregion because it's such a little tiny piece of it that goes into Texas over in the Trans-Pecos area. And then we had one other ecoregion that did not have 3 submissions. So we had about 55 submissions altogether, and mostly concentrated in 10 ecoregions. So we have 10 winners, and we'll also have a best in class, or best in show rather, winner, which you'll find out tomorrow also. Oh, okay. So she's going to show you here all the different ecoregions.
It's entries.
Yeah, these are all the entries that shows what regions they are, as well as a description of the ecoregions. And while we're doing this, I want to apologize for the mix-up earlier. I was really getting confused there. I had one screen that had the YouTube Live on it, and one screen with the Zoom account on it. Then I had to get another screen out to show the video. I kind of got my wires crossed somewhere there.
That's okay, Bill. It happens. Oh, wow.
Oh, and somebody is asking about how to access the Zoom recordings from this symposium. And those are not available yet, but they will, all the registrants will be receiving an email with a link to each one of the recordings within the next couple of days after the symposium is over. So you'll all have access to all of the recordings of each presentation. And of course, you can always go and see the live, the ones that are on YouTube Live, like this one, will be available immediately.
In all its glory, Bill.
Exactly.
It's okay. We're just humans. I love buds. Very pretty. Little.
So while we're watching this too, I want to urge you all to take photos and make videos, especially, and compete in our next year's contest. I know that everyone takes great photos, and everyone has photos probably on their phone that are great.
Okay, so that's the end of that.
Okay, well, and I want to thank all of the people who submitted entries into it. They were all really great, and I appreciate your sending them in. We enjoyed the contest.
It's always fun to see these. we are nearing the end of our program. Tomorrow morning, we'll have another live on YouTube session. We'll have a little bit of experience under our belt, probably start that off a little better. Sorry, I didn't know how that worked before. Anyway, so our first session tomorrow morning is from 10 to 11:30, and we highlight 3 of our signature programs: the Bring Back the Monarchs to Texas program, our NICE Native Plant Partner program, Native Landscape Certification program, and then Bill will lead us through what's coming up in the 3rd week of October, which is Native Plant Week. Then at 11:30 to 12:30, Sam Kieschnick, who is so much fun, will tell us about mothing and how to manage your habitat to encourage moth diversity. Now, the hummingbirds and butterflies get all, but moths are fun too. And so for you night owls, you'll have to learn how to go out and see those cool moths. Let's see. Then in the afternoon, from 2, we have a speaker, a certified wildlife biologist, Rufus Stevens, who has written an amazing book and will be speaking about native plants equals native birds. And then we will have a longer field trip through the Fredericksburg Nature Center, which is an amazing place. And I can't wait to see what Lonnie Childs and Paula have come up with on a tour for us of that. Then on Saturday evening, we'll have live on YouTube our annual awards. The Society recognizes individuals and organizations that support and advance our mission. And our awards recognize excellence in writing, communication, conservation, art, herbarium collections, public service, and lifetime achievement in the field of Texas native plants. We have, I've actually practiced with all the awardees, so everybody can go in on their muting and turning on their videos, and let's hope it goes tomorrow night. And the awardees will accept their honors, and they're going to tell you about their work, and it's fascinating. They've done a great job, and the work is diverse and interesting, and it's going to be an exciting evening. And I hope that you'll all come and help celebrate these amazing people that continue our mission all year long. And then the contest, so we just reviewed the contest, and you'll find out who won. And then the finale will be the chapter of the year. And that is my responsibility to read through all the chapter activity reports and decide which chapter has the honor of being the steward of the Kate Hill House quilt for one more year. So last year, the Bernie chapter have it, and they will have to send it to the next chapter. Oops, that's not what I meant to do, but that's okay. Let's move on like this, and I think this will work. So on Sunday, we have chapter events. Unfortunately, the Pines and Prairies had to scratch their first event, but they are still having a field trip to the George Mitchell Spring Creek Park. The Lindheimer chapter is having a field trip, a plant sale at the Heritage Village. And you have contacts here that you can contact them. You also got this Tuesday in a link on your email. So if you want to find an active link, go to the email that you received on Tuesday, and there should be a Dropbox link in there to this as a PDF where these links will all be active. So you can just get on there and then tap that person and ask them about these field trips. Houston's going to have 2 field trips. Well, 3 actually, 2 field trips and a home garden tour. Let's see, Williamson County is going to Booty Bounty. I don't know what that is, but it sounds like fun. San Antonio will have a plant walk at the Headwaters Sanctuary Trailhead, and the North Central chapter will have a prairie saunter. So that'll all be fun. And I think that brings us to the end of our 2021 state annual meeting of members. I'm sure it's one for the history books. So I'll say thank you and good night, but I'll also say, don't go away. Maybe what we can all do is see how much bandwidth we have, and I'll stop sharing. And Bill, can you make it so everybody can can show their video, and maybe we can all see each other for just a moment and say hi? Is that possible? Can you do that? Can you do that? There's Kelly. There's Linda. I'm going to do the gallery view and see everybody that's here. Hi.
Bill, you might want to.
Thank you for coming. Thank you for coming to the meeting. And guess what? The meeting actually has ended. Where's my gavel? I need to bang it, because when the gavel falls, I'm not president anymore. So thank y'all so much for coming. It's been a wonderful evening. I appreciate it. And I hope to see you tomorrow. It's been my pleasure to serve as your president, and I look forward to being your past president. That didn't sound right. But you know what I mean. So
it's the Hotel California. You may never leave, Kim.
Clarence, I think you're right. Okay, now why don't y'all just unmute yourself and start talking?
I don't think they can. I think Bill has control, and he's not allowing them to.
Yeah,
you can do it.
We can unmute ourselves.
Yes.
There we go. We can unmute now.
I think we should try to replicate the video earlier. That was very avant-garde.
Well, let's see if we all had to, we could sort of all recite the Pledge of Allegiance or something, but not synchronously.
Maybe we can sing the Native Plant Society song.
No.
That's okay, Kim.
It says no. I love it. I love it. You know, the first time we showed that song was in San Antonio, and no, it wasn't. It was in Clear Lake, and we had video problems, and so we couldn't get the audio to work. We couldn't get the audio to work. Finally, we just gave up, and so we played it, and the whole banquet room sang the song. It was wonderful.
Oh, that's awesome.
I can't wait till we get to do that again. Maybe next year.
I thought that was in League City.
Yeah.
Was it League City?
It's our last face-to-face.
2019.
Okay. Oh, I say Clear Lake because it was Clear Lake chapter was near there. Okay. You're right, Rob. Nobody
That was
wants.
a long time ago, it seems like, doesn't it? Oh,
Yeah.
well.
2 years.
It was another time.
Oh my goodness.
Kim, do I have time for an infomercial?
Yeah. Anything you want.
I did some research after the program yesterday. Out of 36 total congressional representatives, 5 in the state of Texas have agreed to be co-sponsors of the Recovering America's Wildlife Act. So my question is, where are the other 31?
Yep.
So check your voter registration card, find out who your representative in the House of Representatives is, and give them a call and ask them to be a sponsor of House Bill 2773. Okay?
Okay.
It's also pending in the Senate Bill 2372, and there are no co-sponsors from Texas. So Senator Cornyn and Senator Cruz have not signed on to co-sponsor. So contact them and say, hey, guys, we would like you to do this. Thank you. Okay?
Can you repeat the House bill and the Senate bill numbers?
Yes, the House bill is 2773. It is pending in committee. And the five representatives that have co-sponsored it is Lizzie Fletcher in District 7, Michael McCall in District 10, Colin Allred in District 32, Mark Vasey in District 33, and Philemon Vela in 34. So out of our 36 representatives, only 5 have agreed to be co-sponsors. And then the Senate bill is 2372, and it's also in committee. So thank you.
Thank you, Clarence. You know, I think, didn't our speakers say that they were going to vote on the House bill next Wednesday and that we all needed to?
Well,
Get
I
busy.
think that may be a vote to get it out of committee.
Right.
When the bill is originally filed, then it's directed to the appropriate committee, whether it's environment or water or whatever it is. I mean, they've got so many committees up there and subcommittees, and then they have to vote to get it out of the committee, you know. So it's a laborious process, in other words. So
Bill, I talked to both Cornyn and Cruz's aides, you know, whoever answers the phone, talked to both of them and sent 2 emails, and the whole thing didn't take 10 minutes.
okay, Paula, thank you. Okay, that's all I had, Kim. Thanks.
Thank you, Clarence.
Yes.
You have a lot of plants for sale at that plant sale that you mentioned earlier in New Braunfels at the Museum, Texas Handmade Furniture.
Oh,
New Braunfels.
nice. Okay.
So
some of the wicker furniture, that's cool stuff. Will that be there? I love that stuff.
it's in a house. The museum's like in a house, and it's mostly wood stuff, like German craftsmen made old furniture.
Oh, nice. Well, y'all are gonna have a good sale. You know, people want native plants now. People are crazy for it.
We've got 52 species that the Lindheimer chapter will be selling there at the museum starting tomorrow morning.
And they're all native plants, right?
I think so.
You know, one of the
If they're
earlier.
not, the plant police will be out there.
That's right. We're coming for you.
Okay, the plant police.
Native to Texas at least.
The plant police are at the competing plant sale. There's also another plant sale going on at Fisher Park in New Braunfels tomorrow at the Monarch Festival. So if you have a break during Symposium and you're in the area, feel free to go check that out as well.
Nice.
It's sponsored by the New Braunfels chapter of the Native Plant Society.
Good. That's good.
Yeah.
We had somebody at one of our, I can't remember, one of our talks ask, does the Native Plant Society have a rule that you can only sell native plants at native plant? And we don't actually have that rule, but the recommendation was, if you want a rule like that, contact your chapter president and have a motion made at the state board, or come to the state board, you know, or send an email to the chapter, to the president and have it made a motion, or, you know, make a motion, because you can do that. Members can come to the meeting and make motions. They just can't vote. But if you have a compelling argument, put it before the state board. Listen and talk about it and vote.
We don't have any rules, but I always complain.
I attempted through my chapter, but I didn't get anywhere with it. So who do I send it to?
Well, you can send it to the president, which will be Linda Knowles, and you can write out a motion, or you can ask her to do a motion.
Okay.
Or you can come to the state board making a motion, because usually at the end of every meeting, there's a call for anything from the floor.
Right.
So there's multiple ways of doing that. And then what you would want to do is have that, you would want to say in your motion that you want to amend the standing rules and make that be a standing rule. I guess that would be the best place to do that.
Okay.
You know, we
see, then the police will come get you all.
You know, we kind of went through that up in the Northeast Texas area. When we first started the chapter in Longview back in '95, we were babies. We didn't know what we were doing. We were just selling, you know, whatever we could propagate. And as we went along, you know, we got more sophisticated. But by that time, the precedent had been set to sell, you know, heirlooms and whatever. And some people kind of came in and muscled their way into the chapter who knew more than the rest of us, and so they were gonna sell some invasives and the the Mexican milkweed and what have you. And, we lost fights with them and what have you. So when we started the Cattle Wildflower chapter, my mom and I were very specific with the new people. We said, look, here's the deal. We're the Native Plant Society of Texas. And we're sending a mixed message with the public when they're standing in line to get our plants. And we're showing them a plant that's either an invasive or it's an airplane plant, for pity's sake. And I've actually had people in Longview say, oh, I didn't know that was a native. That is so cool. A daylily or an iris or an airplane plant. And it's so embarrassing, but we lost the fight with them. So in the Cattle Wildflower chapter, we started from the beginning, and we said the new people, we said, look, it's a mixed message, and we suggest strongly that we just start from the beginning, that we never sell anything but a native, and we never trade anything but a natives among each other. And so we just voted for that, and we agreed to that, and we've never done anything but that in the Cattle Wildflower chapter. And so that's worked really well. I mean, we don't even trade seeds that are not natives. Sometimes the newbies will come in and at our seed swap, which is in November, and they'll bring non-native seeds because I don't know. And so we try to just very graciously put those off to the side and not be rude to them, But Longview, we still got that issue at the Northeast Texas chapter. I mean, it's a massive sale, but they're selling all sorts of crap.
Kim, I think that at our plant sales, we should always have the NICE little brochures there to help educate people about natives. It's a real easy way to get people, because they're coming to the plant sale because they want to buy a plant and they're aware of the plant sale. But I think it's a perfect opportunity for a low-cost educational activity to just have the NICE little pamphlets there, brochures there. Sell a plant, they buy a plant, give them a brochure.
There is an NICE brochure. I never knew that.
No, we need to make one, apparently.
I thought there was one.
We'll make one. That's a good idea.
Communications Committee.
I think they may have been made at the chapter level. I know that our chapter has them.
Okay.
Well, I think our chapter has them too.
Yeah.
Ergo has
one. I've seen nice brochures, but they were chapter level ones.
Kerrville had a brochure on the back page. It was a listing of the nurseries where you can buy native plants, and then they had a thing of plants to avoid, and it was a listing of Donax, Vitex, all the non-native invaders were listed there. So
yeah.
So we had questions on our Facebook page about non-native plants, and people start discussing and recommending non-natives there. And I think that's something else we need to address. It's very difficult to politely say, please don't talk about this plant on our on our Facebook page, but
I don't think it is. You know who does a real good job like that is Nola Cherie. She just says, this is about native plants, so I'm sorry, it's not a native plant. And that's and that's it.
I mean, that's kind of what we do too, I think.
And you can
I think we should. I think we should do that.
Yeah, we should.
Yeah, we're looking at working with the city of Fort Worth also to do a brochure on invasive plants.
Oh, good, Gordon.
So, yeah, that ought to be pretty neat.
So Gordon, when you do that, we have an invasive plant committee, and I think we need to gather information like that in our Dropbox, our invasive plant committee Dropbox, so that we can make that kind of thing available to other people. Dee Dee Wright just gave a presentation last night about that. I don't know if you saw it or not, but I've asked her to let us use that PowerPoint, because I think it's a great PowerPoint. And maybe we can load it out. We could just give everybody a copy of it, and they could just put the plants in that they find invasive in their ecoregion, and it makes it a lot easier for you guys to talk about things, because you don't have to reinvent the wheel. So hopefully we can do a little bit more of that, sharing of materials like that.
Mm-hmm.
You know, when I used to work in the Metroplex there, Fort Worth, Dallas area, Fort Worth the city of Fort Worth was actively planting non-natives. And we were trying to get them to not plant any more non-natives. And they were pretty stubborn then. This was been about 10, 12 years ago. So I'm happy to see that, you know, you're working with Fort Worth.
Yes, I think, you know, kind of what we're looking at this point is a list of plants that include, you know, that would be natives would be a focus, but we would also have, you know, non-native plants that were acceptable for the city to use. That's on the city side. So and that they're looking at a program to, I don't know if they're going to try to restrict invasives or exactly. The focus of it initially, at least, is try to educate people on invasive species and at least try to take the first step of getting people away from that. So,
I think part of the thing too is the definition of a non-native. And I know what everybody says the standard definition is, but Fredericksburg is closer to Mexico than we are El Paso or Dallas. So, you know, are you going to do it with arbitrary
no, it's your
legal
eco
boundaries?
well, what our chapter did, we only sell at our plant sales native plants, and I'm not the sharpest knot on the log, so others have figured it out already. And we actually have a list of plants. So when people come in, they have to either be on that list, or if it's a new plant, we have a group of, again, people a lot sharper than I am who take a look at it and make a determination. And I know they look at the wildflowers, the wildflower site for Texas, and also the, Bonap? Those two, I think, are the two primary sources they look at to see whether something's native to Texas. But again, all that is.
Well, I had a recent experience with my HOA in which their long-term plan for replacing these Chinese elms or lace bark elms in the median that got frozen to death recently was, I found out, to replace them with southern magnolias, which are native to Texas, but only southeast Texas. And besides the mess that the flowers make when they fall, they take up a lot of water.
They don't grow in our area. No.
Which area do you live in, Bob?
They are on this Lady Bird Johnson wildflower list of plants for Central Texas for some reason.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
They should plant different kinds of trees anyway. Why does everybody have to plant like 15 of the same tree? I don't understand that.
I told them better use would be cedar elms.
Right.
And I pointed out where there was a really good specimen that was apparently there when the place was built.
When I'm driving around Austin, I just take my cell phone with me, and more I'm finding Johnson grass. You can't even find the fire plugs anymore because of the Johnson grass is so high. So I'm just taking photographs of it, and then I'm going to call a Travis County commissioner and say, you know, hey, you aware this out here is costing you money to go mow this stuff, and it never goes away. So what are you going to do about it? So I'm building my little database of photographs.
You know, last night Dee Dee said that we knew 100 years ago Johnson grass was a bad player, and there were laws against it, or 100 years ago.
Some of the sidewalks you can't even walk down in my neighborhood.
Yeah.
Maybe we can get Kelly on the Johnson grass next.
Yeah. Hey, weren't y'all impressed with those young people?
Oh, so much. Yeah.
So impressed.
It is exciting
wanted
to
to
be
hear
part
all
of
of them.
projects by supporting them.
While we're on the invasive plants and non-native plants, one of my pet peeves has been that there are plant lists going around from different groups that say native and adapted at the top. And people think that means they're both native and adapted for each plant. And that's not what that means. It always means they're either native or they're adapted. But yet native and adapted sounds like they should be both. They're not. And,
Right. It's a deception. Yeah, planned deception.
It is. And I've been trying to call that out gently, but I've ruffled some feathers doing that for sure.
It's like any plant at all. Why even put the native on it? And for a native plant sale also, if you're going to plant any kind of plant, you know, are you going to sell any kind of plant at your plant sale? Why call it a native plant sale? It's deceptive.
My other pet peeve is when people call native plants invasive plants because they're aggressive or opportunistic. Like that's just muddying the terminology. And so I'm constantly correcting people about, you know, juniper or whatever it may be, like, or mesquite. Like you can't technically call that invasive. It's just an aggressive or an opportunistic player.
Right. I agree with that, Megan. Good job.
Hey, do y'all want to see the coloring book?
Yeah.
Hang on. Okay.
We saw parts of it. It was really pretty. It's amazing to have these talented people.
So this is a Mary Horn. Karina and I did this graphic. We just stole stuff off the internet, put it together, and then these are two pictures. Gosh, you can't really tell. I skipped a page. Sorry. So here's a page.
So when will these be available for distribution or purchase?
No, these are a one-time order, baby. You had to come to a Monarch Way station.
Can't you just put a PDF on and people can download it and print it? Can't we do that?
I did do a PDF.
Right.
Oh, I gave it to everybody. See, and then there's QR code.
Maybe so.
For the whole Monarch Highway. And then that's the back. It was fun to do. We need to do more of those.
Yeah, it's great.
Sarah hooked me up with the company. I thought they were great. But yeah, I can send the PDF. We can put it, I know, let's put it in that Dropbox, Meg, and people go, what? It's really big and I need to figure out how to make it small because it's like a 24 megabyte or something.
Right. And even individual pages could be used as coloring pages to give to kids. You know, events.
It's on our website. All those pages are on our website. Except for Dismiss.
Well, I was just curious because I've got some school teacher friends I'd like to get some of those too and give them, say, here, take this to your class, you know?
Yeah.
PDF is on our website. You can download it right now if you like.
Yeah. Okay.
That's great. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, and that's all. It doesn't have Susan's stuff in it, but it has most of these other drawings. Just download it. Well, y'all, I'm gonna sign off. This was so much fun. Thank you so much. I'll see you tomorrow.
All right.
Thank you, Kim.
Bye.
Bye-bye.
Thanks, Kim.